Happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Sound Off, BGSO, where we center and amplify the voices of women of color. I am Tony Woodland. I am joined by my beautiful sisters as always. Look at Miss Nafisa. Ow. Girl, you look gorgeous.
Thank you, sis. Say to y'all.
Thanks. Hi, Edwina.
Hey.
My bunny twin. Hi, Chantel. Oh, wait a minute. Not the black girl Pat now. Hi, Chantel. I was had somebody say, well, what's the black girl Pat? You know this. Oh, okay. But anyway, listen, we like to have a little fun. We are real raw and relatable on this show, honey. So thank you for tuning in. And if you tuned in last week, you know that we were talking about social media and like body dysmorphia, right? And so how social media impacts the way that we see ourselves and see each other, and the way that those impact actually show up in our relationships, again, with ourselves, but also with each other. And so this week, we are moving into a hot listen, first of all, what is up with the smirk? We are moving into a hot topic, one that comes up a lot in many ways, whether it's actually coming up in a meme or something on social media, or whether it's coming up in girl talk, or probably some bro talk too. But we're talking about social media and relationships. And so we know from last season when we focused on relationships, that was another hot topic for us at BGSO. And so we decided to run it back and take a look, because we're focusing on social media. Well, how does it impact our relationships? I know people feel all kinds of ways. If this is a hot topic for you or has come up for you, then please let us know. Drop it right in the comments and be like, yes, I remember when, or I'm going through it right now. Let us know what you think. So, some folks think that relationships take a beating. I mean, like a whole can of whoop, you know what, um, from social media. And so, Nafisa, what do you think in terms of social media and the impact on relationships? Do you feel like relationships take a beating from social media?
Absolutely. Because I know we talked a little bit about the comparison piece, and when we were talking about the body dysmorphia, but I think also for the relationships too, because you'll see like other people going on trips, and somebody did all this thing for their significant other, and you looking like,
Where's my trip?
where's my trip? Where's my shout out? Where's my this? Where's my this? Where my, that's, I think everybody relationship is different in reality. We know that, but I think when you're scrolling and you're seeing that, you do start to like question and like, well, dang, like, well, they don't do that for me. So does that mean like, if you start like perseverating on stuff, well, does this mean this or does this mean that? And I know even in my own, my marriage, we've been together like forever, my husband and I, since 97. But like, social media, like it will bother me, like different stuff, because he's very private and he'll just post like little fun stuff and some things about our daughter, but not necessarily like things about us. So that's a conversation that he and I have had several times. And he's like, I mean, I just don't see. I'm like, well, where's my birthday shout out? He's like, I gave you one just an hour ago when you woke up. I'm making you breakfast now. Why do I got to put it on social media? You know what I mean? So, and then he has a pretty good argument there, but it's like we've gotten so used to that, like, we have to portray everything on social media. Well, I want people to see this, or I want you to see that. And he has a completely different like mindset of what social media is for, and we've gotten into definitely arguments about it, disagreements. So I think it definitely does affect relationships in different ways. And I think I've seen people just be really extra messy, if you're in your feelings and you get on posting all your daggone business. I'm like, honey, don't do that. So that could be a big issue too. And relationships where we didn't have that in the past to just
Listen, you ain't had
post
that.
it all up for everybody to see. So
That very, very part. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's funny that you brought up people comparing their relationships to what they see on social media, because I mean, I'm not gonna call anybody out, but what I am gonna say is I know for a fact there are people posting stuff on social media. You be like, now come on now, already that person.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. That's a whole different
That
conversation.
part.
We're not going there. But no, I'm glad that you brought that up because you're right. It is related to our conversation from last week. There's a lot of dysmorphia around relationships and the way that people see other people's relationships is like you said, Nafisa, start to compare their own to the ones that they see. I can't even stop laughing. Chantal, what do you think about that? Do you think that relationships take a beating from social media?
Oh my God, yes. I think everyone has to feel like they have to have an opinion about your relationship. And
Mm.
if you are ready to have that be exposed to the public, just know that everyone has an opinion. Everyone think their opinion is fact. People are going to pick apart your relationship. Nothing is off topic, nothing is sacred. So I tell people, oh, just keep those things in mind because social media can be a positive place and it could be a very negative place. And so if you are trying to like protect your relationship, keep it private, keep it off of social media because it could be a really really crazy platform if you allow it. And I say if you allow it because I do think you have some measure of control over the friends that you allow to be on your page and the people that you allow to be on your page. And so how real is too real, right? Because let's be honest, we all know that relationships go through things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, one minute y'all could be all in love and things are great. And the next minute y'all could be, about, it's going down, but, but you have to really, really filter what you choose to share on social media.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, I love that you talked about like part of the beating that relationships can take from social media is like the opinions of other people, right?
Yeah.
Folks
Everybody
jumping
has an
in.
opinion.
I remember years ago. This was literally years ago. My daughter wasn't even born. Years ago, I had a relationship that was like on social media, and there's somebody who was very well meaning, by the way. Jumped right in my DM. Yeah, my friend said that she know him and he's cute, and it was like all this other stuff, and I'm just like, the hell is happening? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't solicit this, but you're right. Like, everybody like has something to like say, and I think that I will get into that later as far as the advice part, but when we move into that part of the conversation. But I think that that is something really valid that that happens with relationships that are all over social media. Is that then you're giving people something to talk about, and that's not a reason to keep it off. It's a personal decision, but it is what it is, and hopefully you'll see whether your relationship will stand the test of time if it can handle that beating. And what do you think? What types of beatings do you think that relationships take beatings from social media? What kind of
Oh,
use?
I've seen many a beatings of relationships, it's like a whole another reality TV show, from a person looking in. And one of the things I say that people who put their relationship on social media, you're opening up your relationship for the world to see. And it kind of reminds me of how, when things are going well or they're not going well, you go to your family and you tell the business of your relationship. And then when you resolve the issue, your family still got beef with the man. And so it's one of those things where it's like, if something is happening, then, we're like, well, I thought that y'all broke up and now y'all back together. And who this new dude? So we all up in your relationship, sis. Like we invested now. But that's one thing, and I think that also brings about this pressure to pretend. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of fake relationships, or whatever, they're putting it out on social media, and they're these false situation is happening. Some of us, we feel like we know the truth, we know the behind the scene, but there's this pressure. We gotta live up to the pedestal or whatever it is that people are expecting us to be on. And that's because you decided to let the world into your relationship. So, yeah.
And I and I get, I know Chantal a few moments ago was talking about, like the power of discernment, right? So being able to filter out some of that noise. And like, I honestly know for some folks it is like just like not easy. I think about, a relationship I was in, and they were on my page, and someone might have probably like hearted a picture or something. Then that started a whole argument. Why did they heart the picture? Why did they, what does that mean? Like, that's the other part I think about too, is that social media, can also play into folks' insecurities. You know what I mean? So I think about that as well, where it can start all kinds of arguments around, and again, that is on the person. So I'm not blaming social media for that. We're just talking about relationships taking a beating, because of social media right now. But that was a real thing, the way that person had to go and block. I was like, all right, shorty, I gotta block you, because now you're doing too much. You are just reading too much into too much, making a mountain out of a molehill, child, trying to take a mile, out of an inch or something, and it wasn't even all of that serious. And so, that's just kind of what I think about. But the other thing I think about in terms of social media, and I would say I've seen this trend way before COVID, but but as someone who is, I guess I'm single, right? Oh, okay. So as someone who is, look, as someone who is, out here, right? I've seen things on social media where folks are like, well, especially in the height of COVID, like not now that we've got like vaccines and stuff as much, but like when the world shut down, they were like, well, how do singles meet people? Like, where do you find people if we can't go out? How are you all connecting with other, single people? And so, one thing that I've seen, again, this is predates COVID, but definitely ramped up, was like the use of social media and other apps to connect with folks, to find folks to date. Shout out to Plenty of Fish. Scroll past my profile if you see it on there. But anyway, but I want to know, in all seriousness, what might be, if you start laughing at me, what might be the benefit of connecting with people on social media, for the purposes of dating. Like, what do you all see as the benefit? I know I'll share a really quick anecdote, but then I want to go to my sis Edwina first. It was funny. This guy like really ghosted me, right? I'm gonna share this story. It's really quick, and it was like the best ghosting ever, right? And maybe it's not ghosting. I would say he expressed that he was no longer interested, and it was the best thing ever. I loved it. I was like, yes, yay, social media. Ow. So what happened was, we talked all of a couple of days, maybe, I don't know, but over the course of the days, what he realized about me, which he said, was that I'm in my own world. That was his exact words. He said, you seem to be in your own world, aka like you are not bending enough for me. And I was like, you know what, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm at a point in my life right now where I'm centering Tony, and yeah, I have a lot going on. I'm having this fun out here with this one life that I've been given, thank God. And that's that. And then he was like, yeah, all right, well, have a nice life. I was like, you know what, you too, And so it was like the best thing ever, because think about, in a traditional sense, I feel like, you spend all that time, and you know what I mean? Y'all both playing games. I'm pretending that I'm more flexible than I really am. I'm pretending I'm more available than I really am. But with social media, he got to see off the bat, like, she's not even as responsive via text as I wanted. Well, I can't right now. You know what I mean? And so that ended that really quickly. It didn't even start, but it ended it before it even started. But then we know, what other benefits do you think exist around like social media and like the dating connecting scene?
I think it's just that. I know a lot of people who have met their significant others on dating apps. Facebook has a dating app now. That was something that I was on during COVID. So it just kind of gives you like that instant swiping situation, like you would go grocery shopping. You don't want no bananas.
Wait a
Like,
minute. Hold on. Wait. Did she just say grocery shopping?
But you know, so it's like multiple options given at one time. And so I feel like social media does that. And I would have to say, like, from speaking from a personal, I actually, because of Facebook, I was able to, I guess, kind of be in like this short little dating spur where I met someone on Facebook, going through the people you may know. And one of the first things that we did was the Netflix movie watch. So that was one thing that was happening during COVID. So Netflix started doing like this movie watch app where you can watch a movie with anybody in the world, and you can kind of like message on your laptop. And so like that was like our first way of getting to know one another. We watched a movie together. We were able to comment, and then from that experience, we then exchanged numbers. So we did not, we didn't do the numbers first. We started with just like Facebook Messenger, and then we did this, activity. And then from that, he was like, okay, I guess you're not a psycho. I can give you my number. I was like, really? Like I guess it was weird because I was the one that kind of reached out to him first. So he was like, a little weirded out by it. But so yeah, from that experience, we eventually did meet in person, but
How was
having
it?
those, say it again.
How was it?
What, in person?
Yeah.
When we finally met, it
Uh-huh.
was amazing.
Okay.
It was good to see that I wasn't catfished. That and he said the same thing. Like, you look like the pictures that you presented. And I was like, you too. I'm so glad. So it was a very good experience to take it from off screen to in person. So it works when both parties are making it work, and that's that. So yeah.
It's the grocery shopping for me. Good.
Oh, okay.
Because
'Cause, you got to pick your fruit carefully. You can't just go picking up the first thing and put it in
it
your
might come
cart. You
with
got to
fruit
check it.
flies. Chill.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
rotten stuff.
Sit there and rot on your table
Oh,
now.
okay.
You saw that fruit I had to throw away last week.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. Chantel, what do you think? What are some of the benefits of connecting romantically via social media or online? You're mute, honey.
Sorry, ladies. So one of the things I would say is the fact that you get to communicate and meet new people. I think that's really exciting. But then you also have that sort of buffer between like social media where you can sort of filter out, as in the amazing fruit picking that we just discussed. So it allows you to get to know a person, and kind of see how you feel about them. And I think there are very nice ways that social media allows you to kind of, pass or,
Mm,
pause or say no, whatever
mm.
you choose to do. I think you can utilize social media to just, get to know people in general. And then you can decide if you want to take it to a face-to-face physical, connection or not. So,
Yeah, no, I like that. You brought up a really good point because I think like even though we are not digital natives, we've certainly spent a great deal, if not all of our, adulthood, having access to internet and having access to some type of digital platform, right? And so I think that we also, again, don't often think about, once again, when we have conversations about social media and the impact on the way that we communicate or relate with each
mhm.
other, it's often around these children don't know how to da 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 da, or these young people. But the same thing is true when I go to, restaurants and I see people on dates and they're like this. I'm like, oh my God, that would be the first and last date. Like, there's no,
Right.
that's a whole different conversation. There's no way. I
Yeah.
I promise you, there's no way that you would get another date with me sitting there on that phone as if I can't hold a conversation or I can't hold your attention. Period, and I mean that.
Right.
And so with social media and the apps that exist, I 100% agree with you, Chantal. I think it forces us to communicate. Yeah, we're still using this platform, but again, for us high value women. You know what I mean? Like we want to know what you got to say, and we get to like test drive the car. So we're picking fruit, but we're also test driving, right? So what type
Right.
of conversation, what type of questions are you asking? How can you even
Exactly.
show me your humor? You know, because remember, before COVID and all that, most of the time you met folks, obviously maybe you ran in the same circles, but then for us who like to go out and have a good time, you meeting people at the good time places.
Right.
So you
Yep.
give your number out before you even had a conversation, you'd be like, dang, why did I give my number out?
Right.
Because there
You
is
yep.
no conversation.
Yep.
But with social media, you like, all right, let me see da 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 and see what this back and forth looks like. And then, as
Exactly.
Edwina said, then you can decide whether to get those digits or give your digits out. I'm
Right.
just saying. But again, I hope y'all took that tip and ran with it because again, that's high value women on here that's dating. We're not taking these phones with us to a restaurant and holding them up here. Oh, okay, we bet that's a different conversation. But I'm just saying,
Go ahead and push the
Nafisa,
peace.
listen, we trying to give away free tips here. BGSO
Absolutely.
is all about sharing is caring,
Y'all are hilarious.
honey.
Well, this is what I think. Obviously, I'm not on any dating apps, but to me, for my friends I know who are and things like that, it allows you to be just more selective, and then it's like a low risk. So opposed to you having to like go meet up with somebody, it's like, okay, like you said, you can have these conversations ahead of time. And as you're scrolling through, you can kind of look through and say, okay, is this what I like visually? Let me see what else they talk about. Let me see if I even sparks my interest to try to entertain the conversation.
Right.
So I think that part of it is nice because you can kind of, like you all were saying, have that buffer in between. You can decide if you want to pursue further. Do I, like Alwina said, do I want to give you my phone number? Because maybe not. Like it might just stop right there and we just going, I'm gonna block you. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
So I would think that part of it is nice and it allows you to be more selective and it's like more low risk and you can get to know them before you take that next step where you're really inviting them into your world. Like, do I really want you into my world or maybe not?
I love that as like a litmus test, sis. Like, do I want to invite you into my world or not? Right? It's always an invitation, and I love that because it puts the power back in our hands in terms of what type of energy to allow in our world and in our space. So thank you for sharing that. Wow. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm still full of giggles about the fruit picking. But anyway, we started out talking about like relationships taking a beating from social media, and then went into like the benefits of it. And so, I want to know just kind of as we start to wrap up this conversation, what advice might we give to people who might be considering whether it is actually meeting someone or connecting with someone online for the first time, again, romantically in that way, or deciding whether to connect with their spouse or partner or significant other online. We choose. So, anyone, what do you all think about, the type of advice you might give to someone thinking about that?
I would say, take your time. You don't have to rush to meet anyone, ask questions. I think that's we've talked about that tonight. Like, really take time to get to know a person. I love what Edwina talked about doing do a Netflix date, do a FaceTime date. You can do a little cooking date, online and have some conversation and kind of see if that person is, the one you want to take that next step with. So yeah, utilize social media to your benefit, even when it comes to dating. Don't be in that rush to see that person face to face, honey. They might be a demon in disguise. I'm just saying.
Wait a minute. She said, look, and with a pursed lips on you.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, take your time. Definitely utilize social media to filter out again, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because you might meet them in person and be like, oh, you are not like anything you described yourself
Mm-hmm.
to be on social media.
That part.
So take your time.
Yeah.
Take your
And
time.
I would say, I know like for me, I would say make sure you know what it is that you're looking for because you don't want to be wasting other people's time as well. And I mean, it's one thing if you want to do, like, I just want to kind of see what's out there, but like having some sort of intention, like what exactly are you going online dating to do? Are you Is it for dating purposes? Are you looking for your soulmate, or are you looking for companionship? So I think having a clear understanding of what exactly is it that you're trying to get out of this app or platform or whatsoever, something that you truly want to make sure that you have an understanding of before you go out there. Because I feel like that sometimes that's what kind of gets people wrapped up, because you then find yourself in a situation that you did not ask for, and then then you have a bad taste of it in your mouth, and it's not something that's always negative. Like, it can have a positive outcome if you go in there intentionally knowing what it is that you're seeking.
Like that guy who goes to me, he already knew he needed a woman that was available, honey. I just wasn't it, right?
Oh, okay. And that's okay. That's okay.
I wasn't it. It's all good. It's all love.
Um, I think that, for people, and I'm thinking like the first part we talked about, if you're in a relationship or marriage and things like that, I think just try not to compare yourself to what you see with other people are showing online, and just, being true to yourself. Like, you show and you write your own story. What works for one person doesn't work for you. And just keeping in mind that people are showing their highlight reels, and don't try to change like your significant other or yourself, just because of what you're seeing, the images and relationships that are being portrayed on social media. And be careful about what you share, because everything's not for everybody.
That very part. Be very, very careful. Now, I love everything about what each of you shared around taking your time, knowing what you want, making sure that we're not comparing ourselves in our relationships and our circumstances to other people's that we see online. And the other part that I've enjoyed, I guess this is a piece of advice. I've enjoyed just having fun. Well, you see, I say it with a smile because I really do. I'm a fun loving gal, right? And so I would say to have fun with it. And so, one thing that when Chantel was sharing, and she said, she gave me a whole idea around like this whole virtual cooking date. I was like, oh my God, I'm stealing that. Like, repost, hashtag repost. But have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, I would never invite anyone into my home on a first date. But yeah, we absolutely could have a fun virtual, like, cook-off type thing. That's dope, sis. I love it. But yeah, absolutely have fun. Think about all the ways that social media can actually be of a benefit to you. What opportunities does it present? And I would actually think in that way. What opportunities are there that social media actually presents, so that this even changes the way that I'm able to date, or changes or totally alters the way that I connect with people, and allows me to do things that I might not otherwise be able to or be comfortable with doing. And so that's something that I've been doing, as I've found myself spending more time on social media and other apps, connecting with people in that way. I've enjoyed absolutely having fun. So you don't have to get beat up by social media. It doesn't have to beat up your relationship. As we've already shared, there are many ways to protect yourself and to protect your relationship, right? And it starts from a really strong sense of self, a really strong sense of awareness, and always keeping your own insecurities in check, right? And asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? If I feel like I'm taking a beating, or my relationship is taking a beating, what is whatever's happening on social media, what is that triggering within me? What is the real issue, right? And so I think that I just kind of want to leave it on that note, because it can absolutely be a beautiful tool that we can use to enhance the way that we relate to and connect with one another. Ladies, I don't think I've laughed so much in an episode, but this was such a great conversation. If you have enjoyed this conversation, please let us know. Drop some comments if you're watching on YouTube. Drop some comments in the comments section down below. If you're watching in the group, yes, sis, jump in those comments and let us know what you thought about this conversation. As always, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel, and let everyone know that here at BGSO, we are centering and amplifying the voices of women of color. So we are keeping it real, raw, and relatable as it relates to our lived experiences. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and hope that we will see you again next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. Peace out.